tensive situation and why? Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to ask. How about Thing? Thing, can you hear me? Have you read The Story of an Hour?
Yes.
Yes,
I've
morning.
read it.
Okay.
Morning.
So, in your opinion, which one is the most intensive situation, the most intensive things happening in the story here?
I think it's at the end when she found out that her husband is still alive.
Okay. So, like when the men come into the house and then she just dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer. Let's hear from another classmate, okay, to see whether we have different answers or not. Let's hear from Ngọc Mai. How about you? Have you read The Story of an Hour?
Yes, and I do think like the most impressive movement in the story is when our main character see her husband still alive, and she got that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mai and Bien, for your answers. So we have a similar one. Moving on to the next slide, please. So, climax. Keep going. So, the climax of the story, we have a similar answer that when the man came into the house and Ms. Mellor realized that her husband hasn't died. So you know that there is a lot of plot twist in The Story of an Hour, that when she feels emptiness, she feels disoriented when she heard the news that her husband just died. But afterwards she felt happy. So it's like a roller coaster, and the most intensive, but also the last part to her feelings is when she realized her husband hasn't died. And from that we can identify before the situation, before that moment, is the yellow box, the causally related event, talking about the background of the information about this couple between Ms. Louise Marlett and Mr. Prenley Marlett, and also she had a heart condition, and talking about the event when her friends announced her about her husband's death, and talking about the unstable action in terms of her mood changes. So that's the yellow box. And definitely after the climax, we will have the blue box. Falling action, the consequence when realizing that her husband hasn't died, and it turned out that it's not her husband, but she dies. So that's the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and we will move on to the next part.
Okay. So that is the end, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. According to this group's presentation, they said the climax was when she realized that her husband didn't die. Okay, that is the climax to you guys. Actually, I would like to give you some kind of compliment because I like the way you present. Okay, you go from the overview of the plot for your friend to know what the elements included when you in the plot, and after that you summarize the story for those who might not read the story before. Okay, I'm not sure that all of you guys reading this story over and over, so that is a very nice point of you guys. But okay, that is good for you to decide to pick the red box. I mean, to choose the most serious event in the story. But I have to say the climax is not actually that point. The climax the most important event was when Mrs. Mallet declared free. Okay, you know what? Why? Because that is the time when you have the most serious conflict. You know what I mean? She does have the conflict before that event, before she declared free. What type of conflict that is? The author said that at the beginning she had a weak heart. So you know that we do have something not normal here. She has problem with her emotion. You understand? That's kind of internal conflicts in her own. Okay, so you can see the unstable situation. You're right when you say she has a weak heart. That is the unstable situation, and that signals the climax when she declares free. When you have the conflict between her between the responsibility, the things that a wife supposed to feel. She has to feel depressed. She has to feel upset upon her husband's death. But in reality, she's not that way. So we see the conflict here, and that is considered as a kind of irony. So I have to say the climax is when she declares free. And after that, what can be believed to be the following action? That is the reality. Her husband not died. Her husband didn't die, and that's the way leading to the end. She died. Her husband died. Her husband didn't die. That makes her die. So that's the way we have the problem solved here. So at the beginning, unstable situation, she has a weak heart, and at the end, she died. You understand? And the climax is something between that. You can explain the stable situation and unstable situation. They do have the connection. You understand? Okay, so anyway, I have to say that this is just a practice section, so I do not mind that is a wrong or right answer. That's all about your effort. You try your best to put what you understand from the lesson into practice. So I appreciate that. So Long, Nguyên, Khánh Linh, and Nga, all of you guys can have a bonus for your great performance. Okay, that's good. All right, so thank you. Yes, and characterization. Which group's in charge of characterization? Hello? Hello? Characterization. Any group in charge of characterization? Hello? Có nhóm nào làm
Yes.
characterization không?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yes, it's my group.
Nguyễn Quang.
My group is about me, Triều Tiên, Thùy Trinh, and Nguyễn Ngọc Thảo Vi.
Okay, so you are Nguyễn Quang. I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay, Quang Vinh. All right. So Vinh, would you please start your presentation? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Cô, nhóm em có trục trặc về cái slide đó, cô đợi giúp em xíu được.
Yeah, you are the group with characterization, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so if you have some technical problem with your slide, we can move on to the setting. Which group's in charge of the setting? Can you continue? Hello. Okay. Hôm trước cô nói là cô sẽ giúp các bạn cái tone và cái point of view đúng không? Thì còn 6 cái còn lại là các bạn phải làm đúng không?
Yeah.
Rồi.
That's our group.
Okay, so do you have any slide?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I have enabled the multiple sharing so you can share your slide. Okay.
Our group includes Win, Shang, He, and Mai.
Okay, yes. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's switch again. Oh my God, I don't want to be die. I don't want to die. I'm sorry.
Um, okay, so hi everyone. My name is Ngọc Mai, and we are from Group 1. And today our group will present the studying field in British literature. And our group has 4 members, namely
Yeah.
just wait a minute. Me, Thanh Quyên, Khoa Thi, and Thiệu Sang. Moving on to the table of contents.
I don't see the winner with 4, 5, 6.
I will be in charge of presenting the physical sensuous word and the time in which the action takes place. The 2 left issues will be dealt by Thanh Quyên và Thiệu Sang respectively. So let's begin with the very first part, the physical sensuous word. The physical word in the story occurred in Mrs. Louise Mallard's house, from the living room, the public place, to the bedroom, the private scenario. So the public place was the living room, where Mrs. Mallard received terrible news about her husband from her sister Josephine.
Okay.
Unlike the public room, her bedroom, a private scenario, symbolized for a place of confinement, because that was the place where the readers can figure out of her internal thoughts. So moving on to the sensuous word, according to our team's perspective, the sensuous word is somehow illustrated by sensory images. And the sensory images are words and phrases that appeal to the 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. And writers commonly use sensory details to have readers imagine how things look, feel, smell, sound, and taste. So by using them, the readers can similarly have the same feelings as the characters. I mean, they can also smell the rain, see the comers, hear a song and the birds, as Mrs. Marla did. It's about the time in which the action of the work takes place. So actually, the author didn't mention exactly the time, so it's difficult for us to clarify whether the event took place at night or even in the springtime, because he just expressed the impression of the time right at the very start of the piece of writing, the story of an hour. Prove the vivid of the author's razor-sharp process, the vividly painted narrative. The reader somehow loses the track of time and is driven through on the progressive stages of Mrs. Muller's train of thought, from the lament over her husband's death to the lurking feeling of guilt, and ended up with a vision and idealism of freedom and liberty. And to be conclusion only within but a mere hour, which is the time setting of the story. So right now, Thanh Quyên will be taking stage with the presentation to the social environment of the characters.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Wing and I am in charge of the social environment of the characters. So basically, we have 2 types of social environment, direct and indirect. So in terms of the direct social environment here, I mean the situation that builds the unique personality of the character. Louise Mallard has very little love in her marriage life. So what does that mean? It means she's unhappy with her husband. She sees her married life as a lifelong bond, and she feels trapped. So when it comes to can you move
That's
on
fine,
to the
that's
next
fine.
slide? Okay, when it comes to indirect social environment, the story of an hour was written and published in 1894. At that time, the society is about to come to the whole new century, and there were tons of social and cultural questions annoying Americans' minds. So women were not seen as an independent thinkers. One of these, the women issues, prevented women from engaged in the society. Also, some people said that motherhood should be unique and primary for a woman. That's the reason why the husband death has made her see something he hasn't seen before and might likely never have seen if he had lives. That is her desire to self-determination. So that's the end of my part. So next up, Shane will be in charge of the next part.
Okay, thank you, Miss Green. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Sang, and I will be the person who is in charge of the atmosphere of the story. So yeah, as you know, like the atmosphere is like the feeling or sense evoked by the setting. So yeah, if you aren't a person who isn't sentimental enough, it is very difficult to define or figure out the atmosphere of the story. Yes, because the atmosphere is mainly or usually appears through the description rather than the actions of characters. So in this story, there are two main tone or atmosphere. So at first, the story carries a sad tone because of the news of the death of Louis' husband, and then the atmosphere like suddenly changes when Louis enters her bedroom. The atmosphere now is cheerful and hopeful because she realized that she didn't love his she didn't love her husband at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can you know? How can you know she didn't love her husband? Actually, we do not really know. Okay. Okay. So that's it. That's it.
Yeah, so well, we have covered four main aspects of the setting of this piece of writing. So that's also completes our presentation.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks. Okay, this is a very good presentation. You know why? Because that's about the content. The content is really informative, and they're all right. You take me by surprise because you put the you put into practice, you put these theoretical stuff, you demonstrate that in an excellent way. I have to say, you closely stick to what I taught you. And oh my God, I have to say you are the very like attentive students because you take careful notes and then you apply them in an excellent way, very effectively. And yes, no wonder you have bonus for everyone. And I would like to confirm, sorry, Wing, Sang, Thi, and Mai, right? Right? There are four members. Yeah. Okay, there are four players. Even you are not having 4, 5, 6, but you have my bonus. Okay, you don't have money, but you have bonus. Okay, congratulations on your great performance. Good job, everyone. Okay. Now the characterization. Are you ready? Characterization. Okay, everybody, you can share the PowerPoint files for all of your friends. Okay, for them to learn more from your work. Okay, so let's share with your friends. Okay, Come on, we don't have what is called characteristics. We have characterization, everyone. Okay, can you change the title? Can you change the title? Because that's not characterized. That's not characteristics. That is characterization. Okay. So yes, Bun's team, I'm looking forward to your presentation. Hello.
Dạ
Hello.
cô đợi xíu em đang sửa lại cô.
Okay. Okay.
Cô chờ một chút xíu nha cô.
Okay, so if you're not ready yet, let's move on to the theme. Okay, which group's in charge of the theme? Hello. Hello. Which group?
Tụi em đang có vấn đề xíu cô.
Okay. How about irony? Irony. Are you ready, irony? Irony. Yes, irony.
Cô đợi xíu. Để em ghi bản sau.
Okay, so if everybody, if you are struggling with your slides, I think I will move on to the tone. Okay, I will tell you the tone and the point of view first. So tone. Last time I do not remember the time exactly, but some students asked me about the tone and the atmosphere. They sound okay. They sound similar. Am I right? Atmosphere here, it looks weird. Am I right? The spelling? Atmosphere seems like, yes, we don't have the T here. Everybody, can you see the screen here? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. So some students, you get confusion with this one, the tone and the atmospheres. I would like to confirm that. The tone, that is one element, and the atmosphere that belong to the setting. That is the first difference when it comes to the category. Okay, tone is one element, and atmosphere, that is one aspect belong to the elements, which is called setting. And atmosphere, that like something, okay, like the experience readers, yes, from what, from characters, okay, from characters, thanks to the description of the setting, thanks to the speaker's words and the character words, you get the vibe from the characters. But tone, that not anything to do with us. That is the writer attitude, okay, toward the characters. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay, so the tone, that's something to do with the writer, with the author's attitude, and atmosphere, that is something the readers get from the characters. So they are the two different stuff here. Even they sound similar because yeah, sometimes the tone can be joyful, sometimes the tone can be somber, but that's not for you, that's not your experience. Okay, but that is the writer's attitude. Okay, and I have to say that the tone in the story, that is the sympathetic tone. Okay, the sympathetic, can you get that? sympathetic. Okay, sympathetic tone, because you can see that Mrs. Mallet was expected to be upset, to be depressed over her husband's death, right? But in reality, she behaved in the opposite way. She felt happy, she felt over the moon, which might not be acceptable when it comes to the people in reality. We cannot accept that. Oh my God, that one is so evil, is so bad. How can you be happy when your husband died? But at the end of the story, you feel like that, everyone, or you just feel the sympathy for her because she had to suffer a lot. She had to suffer a lot, and now she deserves, okay, she deserves that kind of freedom. You just feel, yeah, I know why. I understand how and why she feels that way. And that is the writer's tone, the writer attitude toward her. You understand what I mean? And that thanks to the choice of point of view. I would like to tell you the point of view here. That is the unlimited omniscience, or I can say the unlimited third person, or omniscience. Something wrong here? Omniscient? Yes. Okay, the third person. Why I say this is the unlimited third person? Because the writers, the authors knows everything. When Mrs. Mallet hadn't known her husband died, but the writer know. Okay, and when she died already, the writer knew that the doctor and the other one thought she died of joy. That's the reason why I say this is from the point of view of omniscience, unlimited. And with this point of view, why the writer chooses this point of view? Because he wants to, because she wants to fully understand. She wants to explore every single aspect of her emotion for us to understand the main character, to sympathize with her. Is that okay? Ok, như vậy thì cô sẽ giải thích lại cái này ha. Cái tone á, cái tone somehow nó sẽ bị nó sẽ giống với cái atmosphere, nhưng mà bạn nhớ cái atmosphere á, nó chính là cái vibe mà người đọc cảm nhận được ha. Người đọc cảm nhận được từ cái hành động của nhân vật, từ cái miêu tả về không gian, thời gian trong cái tác phẩm. Tức là mình cảm nhận được, các bạn hiểu không? Tức là nó là vấn đề với readers. Còn tone thì nó là cái attitude của tác giả đối với nhân vật. Ok, thì ở đây mình sẽ, tại sao là cái tone ở đây là sympathetic? Tại vì bạn sẽ thấy là nếu mà trong thực tế cái chuyện mà một người vợ khi chồng chết vui á, cái này nó cũng là một dạng irony, đúng không? Nó là một dạng irony, nó là situational irony. Nhưng mà tại sao kết thúc cái câu chuyện này mình lại có một cái cảm giác rất là thương cho cô này, đúng không? Chứ mình không hề có ý là criticize cổ. Thì bạn sẽ thấy là tác giả đang thể hiện cái giọng rất là cảm thương cho cổ. Đó là lý do tại sao cô Kate Chopin lại chọn một cái point of view là unlimited third person. Để làm sao? Để cho biết tất cả những gì đang xảy ra xung quanh cổ, để mình hiểu luôn cổ đang nghĩ gì, để mình hiểu luôn những người xung quanh đang nghĩ gì về cổ. Thì các bạn sẽ thấy rất là rõ là cái tone này nè, nó được hình thành bởi cái gọi là cái ngôn từ của speakers nha. Cô nói cái ngôn từ của speaker, ngôn từ của những characters trong đó, cộng với cái setting, cộng với đúng rồi, cộng với cái setting, cộng với cái language của speakers cũng như là của characters, thì các bạn sẽ thấy được là nó là một cái giọng mà gọi là thương cảm, chứ không phải là ironic, cũng không phải là gọi là gì, joyful tone, nó không có vui gì hết. Nhưng mà tức là bạn sẽ thấy là tác giả cảm thấy cảm thông cho cô này ha. Thì ở đây là hai cái cô. Ok, I'll have you guys to explore the tone and the point of view of this. Ok, thì cái tone nó bị ảnh hưởng rất là nhiều bởi cái atmosphere cũng như là cái setting, cái atmosphere cũng như là cái point of view. Cho nên khi người ta hỏi cái tone thì bạn cố gắng bạn xem thử là cái point of view người ta đang sử dụng là gì. Nó sẽ có mục đích hết, các bạn không phải tự nhiên mà chọn cái point of view là unlimited third person đâu ha. Ok, vậy ha. Right, so I'm done with my presentation. Thanks for listening. Anybody want to give me bonus? Cô present là có ai cho bonus không? Okay, so now get back to characterization. Have you done your correction? Hello. Hello, characterization. Nào sửa con cái chữ mà lâu dữ ta. Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's go. Characterization. Yep. Okay, let's go. Yes.
Hello everyone. I'm Ping, and today I will present my group to talk about the characterization of the characters in the story of an hour. So my group has 4 members: Tiên, Vinh, Trinh, and Vi. I will start with the main character. So after a discussion, we think Mrs. Marla had dynamic characteristic. So why do we come to this conclusion? So first, we would like to show you, remind you of the definitions of characterization and the types of characterizations. A characterization is the author's representation and development of characters, and there are 4 types: flat characters, round characters, static characters, and dynamic characters. And we see that Mrs. Mara has really dramatically changed during the story. So so we noticed that at first Mrs. Mara is described as a wife with a heart disease. So she is the one who would be at risk of a stroke if she know about her husband's death. So Josephine and Richard have to broke the news as gently as possible. And after calmly listening to the terrible news, she please move to the next slide, please. She swept at once with sudden wild abandonment in her sister's arms, and then she went to her room. There stood, facing the open window, a comfortable rocking armchair into the sand, pressed down by a physical exhaustion that haunted her body and seemed to reach into her soul. The part shows that she is in grief. She is in grief over the death of her husband. To the next slide. However, after that, there was a new, I think it's the psychological development described by the author. It is the happiness. Now her bosom rose and fell tumultuously. She was beginning to recognize this thing that were to possess her, and she was striving to recognize this thing that were possess her. She said it over and over under the breath: free, free, free. Here, free, free, free. Under we can understand that she feels finally free, but this freedom comes at the cost of Mr. Marla's death, so she kind of feels guilty. But the feeling of joy and relief keep growing into her mind, causing her to utter the word free 3 times. And not only that, next slide, please. Not only
Okay.
that, yeah.
Okay, yes, you can continue. Yes, I said. Yeah.
Okay, so not only that, the mood of Mrs. Marla changed dramatically shortly after, as she accepted her own fate when she thought that she had her life in the palm of her hand. And when she accepted her feelings, she also had a bit of self-doubt whether she loved her husband or not, that she loved that much. And then she dismissed those cynical, guilty thoughts. She decided to focus on herself on a new future where she had freedom for both body and soul. And show in art that she set free body and soul free. She whispering the sentence, and even when the younger sister was worried about Mrs. Marla, fearing that she would hurt herself, but Mrs. Marla replied that, "Go away, I am not making myself ill." No, she was drinking in a very slicer of her life through that open window. So now you can see that Mrs. Marla, she's no longer moans about her husband's death. In fact, she's very happy right now. She also imagine the beautiful days ahead. Please move to the next slide. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, she can do whatever she wants. She wishes her life will be long because she's afraid that she cannot enjoy this longer. And at this moment, her eyes shine like in victory. She carries herself unwittingly like a goddess of victory, a complete transformation from grief. Now Mrs. Marla is overjoyed.
Okay.
And then the disappointment, the heart attack. When I think Mrs. Marla looked, the gaze she looked at her husband when she find out that he is still alive.
Yes, Ting, can I interrupt you? How many slides have you got left?
Only this.
Okay, so yes, you can keep going.
Yes, okay. So, so I think that the gaze and the look of her husband must be something really special, so much so that teacher has to rush in to shield him from her gaze and reach a quick motion to screen him from the view of his wife. Although this is not described as clearly as when she found that she thought that she was free, it can be seen that she was definitely shocked by her husband's sudden return to the point that her heart couldn't stand it. It has to stop beating. It's kind of funny and ironic because at the beginning, people were afraid that she would have a heart attack because of her husband's bad news. But it's not now that she died because of the good news.
That is a kind of attitudinal irony. We can talk about that later. Yes. When it comes to the irony. Okay, thank you. Yes, I think that's good enough. Okay, thank you. I have to stop.
I think
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's enough because your presentation is pretty long, so I have to stop you. Okay, but don't worry too much, everyone. So I would like to say that when I asked you to present about characterization, I would love you to cover all of the characters and you tell me what type of character that one is. So in this story, you can see the mentioning of Mrs. Mallet, okay, Mr. Mallet, Richard, and Josephine. So you are expected to tell me what type of character is Mrs. Mallet. Mrs. Mallet is the dynamic and the round character because you do see, we do have a lot of changes in her own emotional. And at the beginning, she appears to be the one with weak heart and the other one believed that she would be sad, but in reality, she's not. So we have to say that she possesses many personality traits. So Mrs. Smollett is a rare character, and we do see the changes. Yes, not one change, but too many types of changes here. So we say she's a dynamic character. But the other three, Mr. Mallet, Richard, and Josephine, they appear to be static and flat because we do not have much information about their personality traits and the changes. So yes, just that, just making it simple that way, because your task is about characterization. So I just want you to tell me what type of character that one is. That's it. You don't have to go further into the irony or symbolism. Okay, so but anyway, I appreciate your effort. You try your best to make very informative slides, but they are a bit lengthy. When you do your presentation, try to put the keywords on the slide. You don't have to put every single thing there, because when you have all of things provided on the slide, you will have a tendency of reading rather than speaking or presenting, and your friends would be tired. Okay, like fed up with reading too many words on the slide. So that is my reminder for your presentation. But yes, don't worry, your work is okay, huh? Now, Theme. Hello, Theme. Theme.
Yes, we hear.
Yes. Okay, let's go. The Theme. Okay.
Okay. Our group consists of I, Thảo Linh, me, Thảo Linh, Ruby, Hồng Ngọc, and Uyển Nhi. And what we would like to do today is to present the theme of the story of an hour. The main themes in the story of an hour are freedom, identity, and women's roles. And the final one is love and marriage. I have divided our presentation into three parts. In order of the topics I just introduced. Thảo Linh, Hồng Ngọc, and I will be the presenters, and Hồng Ngọc will be the first one to deliver our speech.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Okay, so
As you
then
can see in the pictures, the following actions, like the last action that Hồng Ngọc mentioned about the last slide, this is following action. He's come down to the stair and realized that her husband didn't die. So he's shocked, and that lead to the death of herself.
Mm.
Okay, so now I'm introduced the next theme. The next theme is about identity and women roles. During the early 1900s, women like Louise were considered to be weak, though Louise hinted at being a very intelligent woman. She had no control over her life and decisions due to the time period. If she were to get a job, she would make considerably less than men and only have specific position available. Additionally, she was expected to complete specific duties at home like cooking or cleaning as well. Therefore, she has no real identity of her own. Uh, the first from Louis trying to be that person who has made her weak and feel alive, as you can see through the lies. Um, she breathed a weak prayer. Life might be long. Uh, it was only yesterday she had talked with Shutter that life might be long. Okay, that's all about identity and women's roles. And the final theme is love and marriage. And Alan will be introduced to you guys.
The final themes today is love and marriage. So the final themes found in this story is love and marriage. If you were told that the woman become derilously excited soon after her husband's sudden death, that the marriage was not a very good one. However, Louis' marriage isn't completely loveless. So you can see this through the way she cried and is devastated when finding out he's dying. She's also stated it is explicitly she has loved him sometimes, but therefore it wasn't a loveless marriage that ultimately crushed Louise. It was the shackles of servitude marriage brought with it as the time for a woman. In her moment of illuminations, she's described marriage was central around that blind persistence with which men and women believe they have a right to impose a private will upon a fellow creator. Lewis believed that love and marriage restrict freedom and that as such, they are institutions in which the benefit does not equal the cost. So, Mrs. Louise in this pictures is physically ill and her heart is not the only problem she has. When she thinks her husband is dead, she realizes that it makes her extremely happy to think about living life without him.
Okay.
Yes, and yet she states that she's had loved him sometimes, but often he had not. So this is the red flag of this marriage. So this is end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Okay, that's it. Thank you for your presentation. And now I